Luann had been really agitated lately. After seeing a prank pulled on a kid at school, she had been dying to pull a prank on her own, but she had promised her family that she would never pull a prank again. If she broke that promise, then she didn't know what would happen, so she guessed the whole family would hate her and either never speak to her again or never trust her again. She was now sitting on her bed with Mr. Coconuts on her hands. "It's literally getting tough to not pull pranks, huh?" Mr. Coconut said. "Yeah, if I don't pull a prank soon, I might go crazy." "Sorry, Toots, but you pulled into that station long ago." "Are you saying I'm crazy?" "Oh no, you were crazy way before. Now you are completely insane." "I'm not insane." "Oh yeah? Try telling that to your family and all of your previous April Fool's days. You could have asked them that question and they would have either screamed yes, or they would say no out of complete fear. I know that, and after the help I got, I realized that I acted like a complete monster on that day. That's probably why your youngsters never want to hang out with you, because they're scared of you. Yeah, some of those pranks I pulled have probably scarred them for life." "Yeah, but they're just dumb little kids who would make the whole family happy if they just disappeared." Knowing Lincoln and Luna, if Lana went missing, they searched till the day that they die. You could easily get rid of them. All you had to do was drug them, take them outside, and slice their throats open and then bury them. No one would ever know. That's enough of that kind of talk from you, mister." And she slapped his face, making his head spin around until it stopped. "Geez, it was just a suggestion. No need to get violent." Throughout the entire day, Luann had been telling one bad joke after another, either by herself or with Mr. Coconut. It was starting to get on all of her siblings' nerves. "Ugh, I swear, if I hear one more terrible joke, I am going to scream," Luna said to Lincoln. Same here. She should really choose a different career, like baking or something like that." Lincoln replied before Luann came up to them. "Hey Lincoln, what do you call a person in a tree with a briefcase?" "A branch manager." Get it? "I guess you've heard that one, huh?" "No, it just wasn't funny the first time like all your other jokes." Luann gasped at this and frowned. "Oh, and I suppose you could tell funnier jokes?" Lincoln shrugged. "Probably." "Alright then, funny boy, try and tell a joke." "Fine. What's the difference between a jailer and a jeweler?" The two girls shrugged. "One sells watches, and the other watches sells." Luna burst out laughing while Luann was forcing a frown. "It wasn't that funny," she said. "Really? Well, my joke made Luna laugh, whereas yours didn't." Luann scowled. "Tell me, Luann, out of all the jokes that you've told us today, how many of them did we laugh at?" Luann thought hard, trying to remember how many times her siblings had laughed at her jokes today, but all she drew was a blank. "See? You're not funny, Luann. Nearly all of your jokes are lame and make us groan more than laugh. Your ventriloquism act is medicure at best, and about 40% of the time you get booed off the stage and open mic nights. Also, let's not forget all the horrible puns you used to make, along with the stupid and deadly pranks you pulled over the years, which I'm surprised hasn't permanently traumatized our younger sisters. You're not funny, and you should find something else you're good at, because comedy definitely isn't for you," Lincoln said. "I see." She then looked at Luna. "And do you agree with him?" Luann asked. "Sorry, sis, but yeah, you really should find something else you're good at," Luna said. "Okay then," and she walked off casually. "Oh, I see hell about to break loose," Lincoln said with Luna nodding. Luann was now sitting on her bed with a blank look on her face. Lincoln's little true out sentient about her not, or to an extent never been funny, had really gone to her. After the fact, she had insulted her ventriloquism act and had put a percentage of how many times she had been booed off stage. She was now raging mad on the inside. She then held up Mr. Coconut. "How dare that little prick insult me? And to a lesser extent, you," Mr. Coconut said. Well, he did raise some good points, Luann replied. You built your whole life around comedy, and that asshole rants about how unfunny you really are. Yeah, he did go a bit of a rant there. I'd say you show that white-haired bastard what a real joke is. How do I do that? Well, the prick's birthday is coming up in 2 weeks. You should make something that'll make him die laughing. You mean die metaphorically, right? Oh no, I mean die for real. You know what, Mr. Coconuts? What? Her face darkened as an insane grin came to her face. I agree with you 100%. Lifting up her mattress, she saw her sketchbook, which she used to plan out huge pranks. Grabbing it, she opened it up to the last prank she made in it and began sketching down Lincoln's final birthday surprise. The surprise only took Luann about an hour to come up with everything. I'm not sure if I have enough money to buy all the materials to make this. Well, that's the only thing siblings are good for, she said with a huge grin. Later that night, Luann snuck down to the basement and got to work, soundproofing and blocking out any peeping eyes by taping over Lisa's hidden cameras and placing cardboard over the basement's small window. Once that job was done, she snuck into everyone's room and stole whatever money she could find, which ended up totaling $574, plus all of the money she saved up, leaving her with $785. That should be enough. I just need to buy the stuff, and soon my birthday surprise will be complete. After telling her family that she decided to walk to school on the Monday morning, she played hockey and headed to the biggest hardware store in Royal Woods instead and began buying everything she had on her list. Once she had everything, she paid the store to help deliver it to her house on the same day. After everything was delivered and taken down into the basement, Luann raced back to school just as the bell rang, signaling to everyone that he could go home. Fortunately, her sisters didn't question as to why they hadn't seen her today. As they walked home, she spoke up. Hey girls, you know how Lincoln's birthday's coming up? They nodded. Well, I was thinking of making something super special for him. And what, pray tell, would that be? Lori asked. It's a surprise that'll make for him in the basement. As such, the basement will be off limits to everyone until his birthday. And before you'll ask, I'll do the laundry as well as the dishes. Fine by me, Lori said. If it's some sort of elaborate prank, Luann, I am going to pound you until there's nothing left, Luna said. Luna, I promise that I will never pull a prank again, and I meant it, Luna replied calmly, though Luna was still suspicious. For the rest of the week, once she had finished her homework, Luann would spend the rest of the night down in the basement, only coming up for dinner and bathroom breaks. When she had to go to bed, she would lock the basement door with a key and keep it with her so no one could sneak down at night and see her work. It was now Sunday, and Luann was currently at the dentist getting her braces checked up. While this was happening, Lincoln snuck into Luann and Luna's room and began snooping around to try and find something that would tell him if what Luann had planned for his birthday was going to be something nice or just end up being a huge prank. Lenny had blurted out what Luann was up to when Lincoln had asked why Luann was down in the basement so much. After about 5 minutes of searching, he found a large sketchbook under Luann's mattress. And as he looked through it, he saw that it contained diagrams, notes, and sketches of all the large scale pranks she had done to the past, as well as puns to say when said prank went off. Skipping to the page that had a sticky note sticking out of the top, he saw a drawing of a mini track with a prank at each corner that was to be set up in the basement, and with the words Lincoln's final birthday surprise at the top, he knew it was for him. Pulling out his phone, he took pictures of all the pages for his birthday surprise before putting the notebook back under her mattress and headed back to his room to read over the notes. Using his chest of drawers to barricade his door, he began actually looking at the pictures. What he saw terrified him. First, in the trap, he would have a piston pound his crotch 3 times with a note saying that it would most likely shatter his pelvis. Next, he would be struck in the stomach, chest, and face with a bat. Then he would be punched on all sides of his head by spraying powered boxing gloves. After that, he would be shocked by tasers that would wake him up if he fell unconscious. Next, he would be sprayed in the face by a highly corrosive acid that would then be followed by a flamethrower, then a blast of high-pressure water to put out any flames. Then he would be sprayed with Joker brand laughing gas, with him finally being killed by an Iron Maiden that would both impale him and crush his whole body. He didn't know if this was some kind of sick joke, but he knew something bad was going to happen on his birthday, big or small. It was now the night before his birthday, with the girls saying in sing-song voices that it was his birthday tomorrow, or guess who's turning 12 tomorrow, which he enjoyed. After having gone ready for bed, he headed downstairs to talk to his parents. He found them on the couch watching TV. "Mom, Dad," he started getting their attention. "You two love me, right?" "Of course we do, sweetie," Rita said. "Did one of your sisters say that we didn't?" Lynn Sr. asked. "No, they didn't." "You know how Luann has been saying that she's been working on something special for my birthday?" They nodded. "Well, I have a feeling that it's going to be something bad. So I was hoping that you two could stay up in the night and stop her if she tries anything suspicious, please," he said. His parents could see that he seemed to be freaked out greatly by something. "Okay, son, we'll stay up in the dark and stop her if she comes down." "Thank you," he said, and he hugged them both before heading upstairs. Rita and Lynn Sr. gave each other worried looks, both now having bad feelings. "Wakey, wakey, Linky." Lincoln slowly opened his eyes and gave a groan. As he tried to move, however, he felt himself restricted. Once he gained his bearings, he found himself tied to a chair in the basement, where Luann's death trap was. Lincoln's eyes narrowed as he inwardly cursed his parents. "Last time I count on those two for anything." "I take it you're referring to Mom and Dad," Luann started as she came into view, and now fully dressed as a clown. With a large mallet slung over her shoulder. "Those two did actually try to stop me, but I managed to get them with the needle of anesthesia. Each, so they won't be waking up anytime soon. I take you find out about my plans." "Yeah, so I guess I ruined the surprise you had for me." "Not entirely, oh dear brother." She then casually strolled over to an object covered by a blanket. When she removed the blanket, however, Lincoln was shocked to see it was a person, who by the looks of it was about his age, wearing a sack over their head. "Luann? Who is that?" Lincoln asked in a low tone. "Maybe this will answer your question," she replied. She then picked up a container off the floor and opened it before pulling out what looked like a mask by its hair and held it out in front of her proudly. "Tell me, does this look familiar to you?" Lincoln looked at the mask hard before his eyes widened a bit. "It looks like... No, it couldn't be. She's not that much of a monster." He then saw red liquids that looked a lot like blood dripping out of it. "No," he saw as his eyes widened even more. So you've put all the pieces together." She then took the sack off of the person's head, revealing that their head was completely bandaged up. "Come on, Paige, time to wake up," Luann said as she roughly shook Paige, making her come to. Paige gave a muffled scream at the amount of pain she was in. "Well, she's currently lively. Let me show how the wonderful surgery Dr. Loud had performed on your girlfriend." She began unwrapping the bandages around Paige's head. Lincoln was horrified at what Luann had done to her. Not only had she removed all the skin, save for the eyelids, but she removed all the muscle on her face along with her ears and nose. But the only thing holding her jaw up was wire that was looped through small holes that had been drilled through her teeth. "You're a fucking monster, Luann." "Oh, I know." She then pulled out a needle. "But I'm a compassionate monster," and she injected a substance into Paige's arm, causing her screams to turn into a sigh of relief. Paige looked around and was confused a bit before she remembered what had happened. Flashback. She had gone to bed like normal. Then she was woken up to find herself strapped down to a table with Luann standing over her wearing a lab coat, scrubs, gloves, and a surgical mask around her neck. "Hello, bitch. Have a nice sleep." What the... Luann, where are we? In my basement. But enough about that. You see, Paige, it's Lincoln's birthday tomorrow, and I decided to make him a gift that'll make him die laughing. Paige looked and saw Luann's complete death trap. But I saw it for a while, and I decided to add a bit more, which is where you come in. I remember several times in the past where you've insulted me, so I decided to have a little payback as well. She then injected something to Paige's arm, which basically paralyzed her. Paige could only watch as Luann pulled up her surgical mask and raised a scalpel before she began slicing her face off. And the flashback. Paige shivered as she remembered feeling every slice and scrape Luann had done to her. Behold your new face, Luann said as she held a mirror in front of Paige, causing her to scream. Aw, don't be sad. You get front row seats to watching your boyfriend get killed. Oh yeah, and once that's over, I'm going to crush your skull with this mallet, Luann said proudly before turning to her brothers. So are you ready for your surprise? For your birthday surprise? Quick question first. What is it? When you were thinking up the trap, did you take into account of my strength? No. That's what I thought. And with a grunt, he busted free from the ropes that bound him. Throwing the chair off at its rails, he threw it at Luann before darting over to Paige and breaking her bindings as well. Paige, go call the police, he ordered, and as Luann grabbed the mallet with a look of fear on her face. You made me one very sad clown. And she swung the mallet at Lincoln, who dodged it. You are nothing but a burden to everyone in this family. She swings the mallet again, smashing a hole in the track. Lincoln grabbed the piston and swung it as Luann swung the mallet again. The two weapons collided with the mallet being knocked out of Luann's hands in the process. Lincoln then ran forward at Luann and punched her in the stomach, while at the same time she zapped him with the taser. The two backed away from each other, with them both having a hand on the spot where they had been punched and zapped. The two then ran at each other and began throwing punches at each other. Luann was unable to even land a blow on her little brother, whereas he was basically tenderizing her. With a hard shove, she knocked him back before she reached into her pocket and pulled out 6 knives, one between each of her fingers, and she began swiping and stabbing at him. While this was happening, Paige had snuck in upstairs and was now calling the police. 911, what's your emergency? Operator asked. Hey, my name is Paige. Our friend's sister has gone insane. Just cut off her face. As wired, I also and is trying to kill our friend. Okay, now I'll dispatch a unit immediately. Looking on where the call was coming from, she informed the closest police unit as well as dispatched an ambulance. Okay, sweet. I need you to stay on the line for me, okay? Yeah. Paige paused mid-sentence when she spotted something out of the corner of her eye. The dining room. Turning off the light, she could see Lincoln's parents lying on the ground, not moving. Oh my god. She killed her parents. She basically screamed into the phone, not knowing that they had simply been drugged. Sweetheart, calm down. Are you sure they're dead? Paige looked closer and saw her chest moving. They're breathing. She started shaking them. Mister and Mrs. Loud, wake up, she said, but she got no response from them. They're not waking up, she said before she heard Lincoln yell out in the basement. In pain. Sorry. Back in the basement. Lincoln now had a hand on his bleeding side. Luann had managed to get a lucky strike with the knife going through the gap of the right side of his ribcage, nicking his lung in the process. Luann licked his blood off of the knife and went in for another attack, only for him to knock the knife out of her hand and headbutt her. As she stumbled back a bit from the blow, now seeing stars, she grabbed one of the knives and stabbed her in the leg 3 times, and then followed up with a right hook of the face, making her stumble back more until she landed on one of her workbenches. As Lincoln walked up to her, she spun around and launched a spring-powered boxing glove, striking him right in the face, which made him stumble back into the boxing glove trap, which punched him on all sides of his upper body. Damn, that trap was supposed to be a knockout. Boo, you terrible. Get off the stage. Lincoln taunted. This taunt seemed to make Luann go even further over the edge. No, I am funny. I am. It's just the audience. No, please. I can do better next time. Next time. She then clutched her head and began hyperventilating through clenched teeth as she thought about every groan, every insult, and every boo she had received in the past from people. She lifted her head and gave Lincoln the most insane look she had ever seen before. I am funny, she started in a quiet voice, which quickly grew in volume. And I'm going to prove it by making everyone in this house die laughing. Pulling a large knife out of her pocket, she then gave a loud scream and began running at him. Why do you have so many knives on you? He questioned before he started dodging her swipes and stabbed once again. Lincoln kept dodging until his back touched something. He moved to the side as Luann's knife came down and pierced into the canister of acid, which would have sprayed all over Lincoln. She then yanked the knife back. However, the pressure inside the canister caused the acid to spray out and cover almost the entire left of her face and her whole left arm, dissolving her left sleeve and glow in the process. She screamed in pain as the acid began to eat away at any skin it touched. Lincoln looked around and saw the hose she was going to use on him. Grabbing it, he turned it on and blasted her with the water, washing off any acid on her and guided it down the drain, which had been installed recently. Luann got to her feet as Lincoln turned off the water, and she charged at him, screaming as she did, only for Lincoln to swing the hose, smashing her across the face with the nozzle. Dropping the hose, she ran forward and punched her in the stomach, before backhanding her across the metal side of her face, knocking her to the floor. I knew you had some mental issues, Luann, but I didn't think that they were this severe. Let me quote the Joker's madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push to kick her feet. And you, dear brother, are the one who made that little push. Well, if I didn't, someone else would have. He then smirked as he heard sirens. And it seems as though this little madness trip of yours is coming to an end. But how? Then she remembered someone who now wasn't there. That fucking little slut, she yelled before she made a mad dash for the stairs with Lincoln chasing after her. Paige, run! He shouted. Paige, who had been standing at the front door, heard the cry and turned to see Luann racing towards her. She started to run just as the police arrived, and she then ran straight into the arms of the officer that had just got out of the car. Luann grabbed onto Paige's shirt and tried to pull her off when Lincoln grabbed his arm around Luann's neck and threw her to the ground, where she was tasered by the other officer. The first officer was horrified at what he was seeing. Take her to a place where she'll never see daylight, Lincoln shouted before he coughed up some blood, causing his cut side to hurt even more. About a minute later, another squad car arrived, followed by 2 ambulances. The paramedics were just as shocked as everyone else as when they saw Paige. After the 3 kids had been examined, Luann was handcuffed to the gurney and taken to the hospital, with a police officer going with them. While Lincoln and Paige were about to get into the other ambulance as well, Lincoln, whose side had been patched up to stop the bleeding, suddenly remembered something. Wait, I'll be right back, he said, and he went back into his house. He came back about 2 minutes later with a beaker of green liquid and a pair of wire cutters. He then gave the paramedic the beaker. Have fill a syringe with this stuff and inject it into her arm. Lincoln more or less ordered before he got to work cutting the wires on Paige's face. What is this stuff? The paramedic asked. It's overdrive. It'll heal her in seconds, Lincoln said as he cut the wires. Once the wires were cut, the paramedic, against his better judgment, injected the overdrive into Paige's arm. As soon as he pulled the needle out, he and Lincoln watched as the skin on her neck and crawled up and covered her face with the nose and ears, forming before hair sprouted out and grew until it was shoulder length. The paramedic almost had to use the defibrillator on himself due to his heart stopping. There you go, back to your old self, Lincoln said happily. Paige felt her head instead of feeling bone. She felt skin and hair. Oh, thank God, she said happily. She then looked at Lincoln, and without another thought, she wrapped her arms around him and kissed him right on the lips. Lincoln was surprised by this, but was quick to return the kiss, making Paige lift the leg.